Hello, I'm State Representative Terry Boose from the 58th House District. Welcome to Ohio in Focus.
Hello, and welcome to this edition of Ohio in Focus, a program that brings state government to you. I'm your host, Charles Willoughby. We have with us today State Representative Terry Boose, who serves the 58th House District, which includes portions of Huron, Lorain, and Seneca counties. Thank you for joining us, Representative.
Sure, I'm glad to be here.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience before becoming a state representative?
Before I was state representative, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, I was a county commissioner for 8 years. Took a little while off from politics after that. I had 4 kids that were teenagers all at one time. So I really enjoyed myself being a county commissioner and always looked forward to getting back into politics. And I had the opportunity a little over 2 years ago to get back in. And I'm currently controller for Norwalk Concrete Industries at the same time. So my boss allowed me to do that part-time, and here I am down in Columbus. I'm now in my second term.
Well, we're happy to have you here and have you back.
Well, thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Some of those experiences must have been a benefit to you now in your role as a state representative.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, I'm currently, one of my committees is local government committee, and my experience as a county commissioner, you know, is priceless to me. I truly understand what it's like to rely on the state government, both on laws, regulations, mandates, and funding. And I can understand how it can help or hurt the local economy, and I think it's really set me up for being able to understand just exactly what's going on in local governments and how it works.
And that's probably very important, especially since you have a few counties in your district to work with and on the local level.
That is true.
What are some of the major issues or challenges that you've seen that's facing your district today?
Well, economy, jobs, and jobs. You know, so that, you know, number one, that's what everybody talks about. But also, you know, now local government funding, so it's going to be a real challenge to keep governments moving, to keep the services going, and working with the local governments. So, you know, I think it's jobs, keeping taxes down. You know, I hear over and over again, you know, no more taxes. We just don't have any more money. You know, I had an interview last week, just people talking about, well, what about a temporary tax? And I'm saying, you know, that's money that you could be out using, buying things in the private industry and getting jobs going. So, you know, no more taxes. Let's get down to business and get this economy turned around.
I know that the economy is definitely on everyone's mind right now in creating jobs. However, what are some other issues or initiatives that you've worked on here in the state house that you're proud of or that you've gotten deeply involved with?
You know, some of the things I've worked on, a lot of them have to do with local government. There's some things we'd like to do as to changing, you know, how county government works. And I've also worked on a bill that would cut our salary by 5% until the economy turns around. And I think that's important. You know, if we're asking the people to sacrifice and to cut, you know, we need to cut ourselves. So that's one of the things. And just a whole variety of local government agricultural issues. You know, we're talking oil and gas, and should we be drilling on state land, and make sure we have good regulations for private industry when there is regulation going. So just a myriad of small issues that all add up real quick.
So really focused back on to the county level issues and the experiences you've had. You've been able to bring that here and been able to problem solve some of those. Yeah,
that and you know, being from a rural area, making sure we defend that rural area and make sure that the rural area gets their share of government funds and help that they need. So I come from a very rural area. Like you said, I have 3 different counties, and so that's a challenge for me down here, is to make sure the rural people get their voice heard.
And in addition to the economy and jobs, I know that is number one, and rightfully so. What are some other issues maybe that you've worked on? And I know that there was one bill that we worked on that with with yourself, the House Bill 159, dealt with some of the election reform. Could you maybe discuss some of those issues?
Yeah, the election reform, I think, is a huge bill for us right now. You know, the democracy is all about voting and making sure voting's done without fraud. And I always thought it was interesting, you know, in order to buy alcohol, in order to do a lot of things in the state of Ohio, you need a bill, or you need a ID, either a state ID or state driver's license. Mm-hmm. And this bill requires you to have an ID to vote. And I think, you know, that will really help making sure there's no fraud, making sure people, you know, are voting correctly. And that's a right that we have, but we have some responsibility ourselves. And to get that ID, I don't think is any big deal. Part of the bill is, if you can't afford it, you can still go to the state of Ohio and get a state ID for free. So there's nothing there that would keep anybody from getting an ID, but I think it really will help straighten up the elections process a little bit and make sure it's fair to everyone, and that we truly in Ohio have the best election system in the country.
A little bit of clarity and security around the elections.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. And I think that'll help the people out, you know, at times when it's election time. It'll help the workers out. It makes it a little more defined for them. You know, they'll have that ID in hand and have something to check against. And
we all appreciate our election volunteers.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. How important it is for them to work those long days at very small wages. And it's such an important job, and anything we can do to make their job easier and better, and to make the system better for the citizens of Ohio, that's what we need to do.
Well, we appreciate the work that you're doing on that. As you said, what is one of the things you enjoy about your job here in the State House, or one of your favorite parts of being a legislator here?
I think the favorite part of being a legislator is being out with the people and hearing all their ideas. I go door to door. Not only in the years that I am elected, but in other years, because I want to hear what the people have to say. That's where all the ideas come from. The ideas don't come from Columbus. Everybody thinks we come down here and get the ideas. That's not the place to get the ideas. It's our citizens that have them. And we need to listen to them, see what their ideas are, and then come down and try and work them into law. So I really enjoy going out, being door to door, going to all the meetings, meeting the people, and being out with the people. That's the best part of my job.
Well, I can tell that you've been busy working with your legislation and also working on the budget recently. What other committees or what other meetings do you have throughout the day? What committees do you serve on currently?
I serve on 3 committees: Ways and Means, which deals with taxes and any tax law changes. Mm-hmm. I also work in Agricultural and Natural Resources, which seems to be a big committee this year, talking about oil and gas drilling, mm-hmm. talking about the Great Lakes Water Compact, and, you know, how much water we're allowed to take out of our watershed. That's going to be a big issue. And then, of course, all the various farm and agricultural issues. And then finally, local government. And I'm vice chair of the local government committee. And with all the talk about all the extensive local government that we have in Ohio, and do we have too much, and should there be consolidation, there's going to be a lot of good discussion in that committee in the next coming 18 months.
And I'm sure you'll refer back to your county experience again in that regard.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not only going back to my own experience, yeah. but, you know, I've had the opportunity to meet with a lot of the other elected officials and the County Commissioners Association. I was sure. also a fiscal officer for a township, so I know the Trustees Association and their issues. So, you know, those issues really will play big, I think, in that committee, because a lot of times we want to make changes, but if we don't know the direct effect it's going to have on that local government, it could be devastating. So hopefully I'll be able to speak up and use my knowledge here.
With all the committee meetings and sessions and your constituent meetings and trips back and forth to the district, could you explain to us a little bit of a typical day here in the State House?
A typical day in the State House. Right. I don't know if there is such a thing, but you know, I usually leave very early on Tuesday morning to get down here, so I'm here by 8, 9 o'clock. Then I have, you know, I usually try to talk to the people and see what's on their mind. Then we go off to caucus, where we talk about the issues that we're going to be speaking about on the floor in a day. And then who knows how long, you know, we're going to be in session. It can be anywhere from a half hour to many hours.
Sure.
But immediately following that, we're usually back out into our committees, local government committee on Tuesday, then off to come back, maybe talk to some more constituents, people that are visiting the area, and then a lot of times at night we're back meeting in caucus, discussing the issues, discussing the bills, finding out what other people are thinking, find out what happened in committee on other bills. We start all over again on Wednesday, doing the same thing all over again, usually in the mornings, meeting with constituents, and then once again back to caucus, back into session, and committee meetings after that. This year we even have committee meetings that start at night. Our agricultural meeting meets at 7 o'clock on a Wednesday night, and I've been there as late as 2:30 in the morning in that committee. So Thursday you get back up. If needed again, we're back in session. Otherwise, I'm back home meeting with constituents, and then try to have some town hall meetings.
So there's no end of the day really for you.
There is no end of the day.
It could go endlessly.
Endlessly, and because I have 3 counties that I cover, there are always meetings back home.
Sure.
You know, I got to try to meet with all 3 counties, whether it's their county commissioners, whether it's the trustees. I have over 36 townships in my district, so there's always meetings to go to, and people to see and people to visit. And one of my favorite places to meet are the coffee shops in my district.
Okay.
I like to just go in there and meet with somebody if that's where they want the meeting, and it usually ends up being about 5 meetings by the time I get out of there.
Well, everyone loves coffee, and that's a good conversation place to go.
It is, it is.
What are some of the issues maybe that you've worked on with a group of constituents in your district, or an initiative that you've had they brought to you and that you've been working on?
Well, first of all, I'll talk about one, and then that's not really big, and then a much bigger issue. But I had a young lady, Katie Caldwell from Monroeville, asked me if I would work on renaming the highway through their town after a fallen soldier, Scott Sparks and Jason Sparks, excuse me. And so I had her come down, and she testified, and his dad testified, and they came down when we voted on the bill. So that was exciting for both her and for I. We will be voting on that. It went to Senate. They changed it a little bit, comes back, and I'm hoping to get her down here to meet with the governor when they sign that bill. That's kind of a smaller one. A bigger one was in my district. They wanted to make the Vermilion River a scenic river, which always is great and fun things to do, but they were worried about some property rights. The people on the river and the property owners were worried about some property rights and how that was going to work out. And we had many, many, many meetings back in the district on that. And I think pretty soon we're going to be introducing some legislation that can maybe update that bill a little bit to make sure we're protecting the property rights for the people on the river while still having a great program. The Scenic River is a great program to make Ohio better and to bring the tourists to the area and to keep the conservation and the water clean, but at the same time we can protect people's rights.
Well, it's very important doing both. A good balance of giving people an environment to enjoy and without disturbing what's already provided there.
Exactly. That's a big part of our job is the balance. It seems like every bill we have, there's some kind of balance that we have to maintain, and that is a big part of our job.
Well, Representative, we really appreciate you coming in. What's the best way for your constituents to get in touch with you? It's
always easy to get in touch with me with my District 58 at ohr.state.oh.us. That's my email address, or they can reach me by phone at 614-466-9628.
Thank you very much, Representative.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
We look forward to seeing you again on the next edition of Ohio in Focus, the program that brings state government to you. Thank you for joining us today.